Okay, this is a tutorial on how to make a bun cover. I use sugar and cream, cotton yarn, and lava lamp. You'll need your ponytail holder. I use a thick one just to be on the safe side. Scissors for cutting later. Crochet hook for casting on. Your pick, your loom, and your yarn. This one's going to be kind of long because this program I cannot seem to pause the video. So we'll see how long this takes us. Slip knot on peg 1. Tighten it up. Warn you now, the casting on part for me sometimes goes a little rough. It doesn't like me always, but that's okay. So chain cast on. And I'm going to try to do this kind of quick because in about 30 minutes I will have kids starting to get up for school. And then it'll start getting loud in here. Okay. Yes, I know my cast on's kind of sloppy. That's okay. It gets hidden later on, so the whole thing body-wise will be done in E-wrap, so it's really, really simple and should go really quick. This is almost like making a little hat. It's all basic stitches, so it shouldn't take you long to do. It's very, very cute. Okay, when you get back to here, put your yarn so that it'll be behind your hook. Take that off, put it on peg 1 so you have 2 loops there, and you are done with that. Push it all down. And ignore the little color markers. I just put them on there for a different project and never took them off. They're little hair bows. Pull that extra yarn. Okay, we're going to, I always turn mine sideways when I E-wrap. Makes it easier for me. We're going to E-wrap 5 entire rows. So 1, 2. I'm just going to do this regular one that I came up with, which is 7 rows in the next part, which will be for regular hair. If you have thicker hair, you are going to have to add in extra rows after we do the brimming part, or else your hair won't get covered by all of it. Okay, we are on to row 2. And as you can tell, the loops are very loose. That's supposed to be. It works really well because when it comes off, this will be really, really small looking. But it's supposed to be, and it stretches really well to go over top of a bun. And I have really long, thick hair. My hair actually almost reaches my behind, and this will cover it with it being as loose as it is. So it's a good thing. My daughter can use the same one that I can use, and she has really thin hair. The first one I made, she could wear better because it is smaller. It didn't go all the way over my bun. It left just a little bit off. So for mine, I would have to do a couple extra rows in the end length in order to get it to fit mine correctly. But it's a very cute way to cover a bun and give it some decoration. And I will show you that in the end because I put my hair up in a bun this morning just for this. Okay. Oh, damn, it's kind of sticking in there. Now on this little tail piece, you can leave it hanging, or you could have worked it in. It's no big deal. It'll get hidden in the brim with mine when I do mine. And you're almost ready to do the brim part. This is one of these little projects that if you don't have much time but just want to get something loomed in quick, it's easy and can be done no problem. Okay, one more row to go and we will be done. And yes, I push mine down in different ways. Every time I turn around, I'm weird. Okay, row 5. And on this one, unfortunately, you guys get to watch me do the entire project because the program I wanted to use, which I could pause the video from my laptop, would not work this morning. So I'm having to use a backup program on my laptop. And it does not allow me to pause and restart. So if it gets too tedious watching me do every single row, feel free to fast forward ahead and then you won't have to see it. Okay, 5 rows are done. You'll lay it down, you'll pull the inside up like you're fixing to do your brim. And pull the little tail up. But before you put the brim on, I always take my tail and kind of lay it there. Take your ponytail holder and kind of work it around the outside like that so that it's stuck on that little mountain heel, as I call it, thing there. And then create your brim. Okay. On this, you're only going to need one string to put on there. You don't have to do both. For me, this is weird because I'm trying to remember to keep it in the camera view. I keep wanting to pull it up to my level. This is my first video of how to do something like this. And and my little tail came out a little bit, but that's okay. We're just going to push him back in there. Okay. So now you've got your brim on there. Knit that part off. I always have to tighten that back up. I always make it loose. Okay. Okay, now the brim is complete. Now if you're doing this, say, my 8-year-old can wear it, with the next step being 7 rounds of E-wrap. My hair's thicker, I would need 9. But because of these colors, and I know my daughter will love it, and probably will snag it when she gets up here in a little bit, I'm just going to do 7 on this one, which is a basic one. So now you're going to E-wrap again for 7 more rows, and then we're going to be done. And we are at less than 10 minutes. This is actually a really quick project. I like it. One thing I would say, in case you're thinking about doing this for a child, depending on their age. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using a kid's version ponytail holder. I have tried that. It came out really small when I put it on my 8-year-old's head with her bun on. And she has really thin hair that does not like to stay up in anything other than a ponytail. It caused her bun to stick out versus laying like a normal bun does. So she had this really elongated bun because it was so small it squished it. If you're doing it for, say, a toddler, then I would think that it would be okay. I don't have a toddler to try one on right now. Well, I have a toddler, but it's a boy, and he doesn't have enough hair. And I think he'd be a little upset if I tried it on him, if he did. But I can use an adult ponytail holder on her with this, and it works fine. But to put her hair up in one, it doesn't work real well. So this actually works really well. I think I've got the little kid version of one. If I do, I'll show you so you can kind of see what I'm talking about comparing them. The difference between this version and the kids version, which can be a little off. And like I said, this will look really small when it comes off the loom. So don't worry if it comes off and it's little and you think, oh no, you did something wrong. You did nothing wrong. It looks like a little bitty hat, like you're going to put a golf ball inside of it, and that's about it. Because we used cotton yarn, this yarn actually does stretch pretty well. And actually will fit, as I will show you when we're done on my big old bud. Or at least I'm going to try to. It's going to be kind of hard to see the camera from behind my head with my laptop, because I did not bring a mirror to see with, but that's okay. Oop, I missed a loop. There it goes. And if you do happen to have peg markers or something on there, they'll kind of, depending on how you do it, they could get in your way. Just slide them down out of the way. Because in mine, they do it all the time. But like I said, these are not your typical standard little peg markers. These are actually, when you buy like the Goodies hairbands, they come in rubber bands. You have the little ones, and then you have 3 sizes in a pack usually. This is the smallest one. I found them at a local discount store for 99 cents a package. And they work really, really well. They go over all of my loom hooks. This type of hook, and it goes over the other hooks that are flat. And for me, they were a lot cheaper than buying actual ones, and I want to say I got like mess load actually in each package. So if one loop gets broken or breaks, it's no big deal. I've got lots more. Or in my case, if one of my kids run off with them, which happens quite often. Like I said, I've got 4 kids. So I've got a 13-year-old, an 8-year-old, one that just turned 6, and a 3-year-old. So my stuff constantly seems to have legs and runs off, especially with 3 boys, when they think they can shoot them at each other. So backups is always a great thing. Okay, so we have done 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm really liking this. So we're on 5. On the ponytail holder, I'm using black, which you can kind of see it through the yarn. If that bothers you, you could either do a darker yarn so it's not visible. They do sell them in colors, and especially in the thinner ones, which would be like this. This is a thinner one. I tend to not use these just because they do break after a while really easily. Being thicker, it takes them longer to break. I did do a purple one, the first one I ever did. Used a darker, I used a big band like this, and it was black. And by the time I can see it through it when it just lays there, I can see the black. But when I put it on because of the way it sits on the bun, and it kind of does go up under the back side. It's not as visible, so it may not be as big of a deal, unless it's just a personal preference and it bothers you. Me, I'm not too picky because it folds up under because I've got so much hair. So. But if you have a daughter like mine, or you have thin hair and nothing wants to stay in your hair, like we've tried for her, every type of clip that has been made so far that swears that they can stay in really thin hair, nothing has worked. I have tried the clips that they make for babies that are supposed to be able to hold better, and they last a little longer in her hair. They still come out really easy. The only thing I have found that does work is the ponytail holder, like I said earlier. So she does either down ponytails or pigtails. Until I made these the other night, and I was able to put it up, and I used what I call a spinner. I'm not sure what they actually are, to put her hair up. I'll show you one of those in a minute too, just because they're cool. I got two of them in my hair. You can buy them in sets of 2. Technically, my hair is long enough and thick enough that I can actually have it in a bun and have it hold itself up without anything inside of it. But I typically tend to like putting these little spinner looking things in, just because it helps to make sure it stays nice and neat a little better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, I'm losing count. That's okay. So I did use them on her hair. Unfortunately for her hair, because it's so thin, they're a little long and they do stick out. This covers well, so it makes it really cool. Also, because of the fact that she likes to have her hair up, I made, like, people use the socks to make sock buns, and I'm not a big fan of using socks in hair. I don't know, it's just me. So I made a little donut looking thing to do buns with, and this is actually really cute to go over top of that. So I mean, this is really actually just a really cool thing. Okay, this should be number 7. I'll have to count them again in a minute. Yes, I lose count quite often. Usually I have an app on my phone that keeps my counts for me. Unfortunately, it's on counts for something else right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, we're at 7. I have so many projects going that I've got so many different counters going for everything. So I have nothing for this one. Now, most people, when they do a cast off, they will take and actually wrap the yarn 1.5 times in order to make sure they have enough. To me, that wastes a lot of yarn. I have discovered that almost in every project, especially in this one, since my peg 1 is right next to my little peg marker, that all I have to do is take and go around halfway. I only need to cover 6 pegs. So in between peg 6 and peg 7 is where I will cut my yarn. Now, so I'm done with the yarn part. You have 2 options. You can thread this through the needle, which I do have. I have the little curved needles, and you can thread it through and pick it through every one of them. I'm a little bit kind of lazy, I guess, sometimes with that, and I don't like having to drag out the needles because I have a bad habit of losing them, especially on this simple project like this. I just take my yarn, get all my little loops about halfway, and then I take this and I lay it under the bottom, take my pick, so make sure I can turn this so you can see it, and I just go under the first one and just pull it up. Same thing. Yes, you will start to run out of yarn. I can do probably 4 to 5 before it gets really, really small at the end. And in order to continue going, all I do is go ahead and pick off the first couple. But I tend to go until I have very little left. So I go to there because I know I can't go under that next one. There's just not enough there really. So while that's there, I tend to hold it with my finger just to be on the safe side because you never know when it's going to pull it. And I just pick these off. Now, I tend to leave the last one that I've picked, leave that one on. That's the only one I leave on, and just pull. And then I'll give you a little more. And then I do that all the way around as I go. And I have less waste at the end of yarn, which means I have more yarn for more projects. Now, especially with the cotton yarn, just because depending on where you get it and where you live, it could be more expensive than other yarns. So I prefer not to waste it if I can help it. Or if you're on a limited budget, which I am, since we're a family of 6. Try to stretch it as far as I can stretch it. But I do it. And I do this with the hats. When I make hats or anything that I'm casting off this way that I know that I can get away with doing this, I do it so much easier. I only do half the loom for the yarn at the end. That way I just don't lose as much yarn. I'm weird like that. I don't like to do it. Okay, then I just hold this piece, and yeah, I don't even pick it off at the end. I just grab them and pull them off. Okay, so now we are technically off the loom. Now, I just take and pull it tight. I always tie a knot right here. I always tie a little one, even on the outside, because usually it goes up under those little loops right there at the end. Those little loops tend to cover it. You don't really see it, because that loop can go right back over top of it. Then I take my crochet hook and I put it right through that center little hole, which is very little. Catch it, carefully pull it through. I hear alarms going off, which means I have a child fixing to get up. Pull it through. Tie. I just do 2 knots. I find that's fine. You can do as many as you want. You can attach it to other strings if you prefer, to try to make sure it stays. But since I've got 1 knot on the outside, 2 knots on the inside, I find that fine. Cut it like that. Okay. I will pull a spinner, what I call a spinner, real quick and show you what I mean. And then I will show you what it looks like. That's the alarm telling me. It needs to be up. This is what I call a spinner. It's got 2 little teeth at the end, and it just twists and spirals around your hair, helps hold it in. Don't know what they're called. They're awesome. You can get them in gold and black. That's the only 2 colors I've seen. Now, back to this. So, if you look at it, it does look like a little bitty baby hat. Not popped up. There we go. It looks like a little bitty hat, but this will fit a bun. So, let's see. Over the bun. Over the bun. Yep, because my hair is a little thin or thick. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Oh, and a second child is up. Okay, and then that is what the bun cover looks like, and that is your project.